A 10-year-old boy with no experience at auctions decides to spend all his savings on a sick, unwanted horse. With a frail body and fearful eyes, can this horse survive? Everyone laughs and mocks the boy, but he stands firm. Can love and determination change the fate of a neglected creature? This story will keep you hooked. Before continuing in the story, tell me which city you are watching from. I want to know how far this video has come. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so I can send you exciting stories like this every day. Ethan's hands clenched the little wad of savings he had brought along, his heart pounding with excitement and trepidation. At just 10 years old, he had never been to an auction before, let alone thought about buying a horse. But today was different. Today, Ethan was determined to fulfill a dream. The local auction grounds were bustling with activity. Farmers and ranchers inspected livestock, their voices blending into a chaotic symphony of bartering and laughter. Ethan's eyes darted around the arena, scanning for the one horse that caught his attention, a horse he'd heard about from a neighbor, rumored to be frail, almost unwanted. When the auctioneer's hammer struck down on another sale, Ethan felt the anticipation build. Then came the moment. The frail, sickly horse was led into the ring. The animal's dull coat and unsteady gait drew murmurs of disappointment from the crowd. "Who'd want a horse like that?" someone whispered, their voice dripping with disdain. But Ethan saw something others couldn't, a spark of life in the horse's tired eyes. He didn't know why, but he felt an instant connection. As the bidding started low, Ethan's small hand shot up, surprising the crowd and drawing chuckles. "What's a kid gonna do with a horse like that?" someone teased. Ignoring the stares and whispers, Ethan stood tall, his voice firm as he raised his bid. And just like that, with his modest savings, he became the proud owner of the most overlooked horse at the auction. When the auction ended, Ethan approached the horse. He reached out tentatively, feeling the creature tremble under his touch. "I'll take care of you," he whispered, as if making a vow. He named the horse Storm, a name that seemed ironic now, but would prove fitting later. As Ethan led Storm home, the townsfolk shook their heads, doubting the boy's choice. But Ethan wasn't discouraged. Deep down, he believed Storm was meant for something greater. Little did he know, their journey together would change both their lives forever. As Ethan led Storm to the small paddock behind his family's barn, the frail horse stumbled, almost collapsing from exhaustion. Ethan's heart sank, but he steadied Storm, whispering, "It's okay, boy. We'll get you back on your feet." The next few days were challenging. Storm refused to eat, barely moved, and seemed to have given up. Ethan spent every spare moment sitting by the paddock, reading aloud or just talking to the horse. "You remind me of Dad," he said softly one evening. He never gave up, no matter how tough things got. Ethan's determination didn't waver. He began researching everything he could about nursing a weak horse back to health. With the help of old books and advice from a kind neighbor, Mr. Davis, he prepared a special diet for Storm, combining oats, carrots, and herbs known for their restorative properties. The first breakthrough came on the fifth day, as Ethan approached the paddock with a bucket of food. Storm took a hesitant step toward him. Ethan froze, heart pounding, as the horse nibbled cautiously from the bucket. "That's it, Storm. You can trust me," Ethan murmured, his voice filled with hope. From that moment, the bond between boy and horse began to grow. Each day, Ethan introduced gentle routines, brushing Storm's coat, speaking in soothing tones, and leading him on short walks around the property. Slowly but surely, Storm's strength began to return. One afternoon, as the sun dipped low in the sky, Ethan decided to try something new. He brought out an old saddle that once belonged to his father. "I'm not gonna ride you yet, buddy," he said, stroking Storm's neck, "just getting you used to the idea." To his surprise, Storm didn't flinch as Ethan placed the saddle on his back. For the first time, Ethan felt a flicker of hope that this horse, once deemed unworthy, might have the spirit of a champion. But not everyone shared Ethan's optimism. At the local feed store, he overheard townsfolk chuckling. "That boy's wasting his time. That horse will never be anything more than a pasture ornament," one man scoffed. Ethan clenched his fist but said nothing. He didn't need their approval. Deep down, he knew Storm was special, and he was determined to prove it, no matter what it took. The weeks turned into months, and Storm was slowly but surely transforming. His coat, once dull and matted, began to shine under the sunlight. His movements, initially sluggish and hesitant, became more confident and fluid. But it wasn't just his physical transformation that amazed Ethan, it was the bond they were forming. Every morning, Ethan would wake up before the sun, sneaking out of the house with a bag of oats and a carrot. "Morning, buddy," he'd say softly as he approached the paddock. Storm would whinny in response, his ears perking up at the sight of Ethan. The boy had learned how to read Storm's emotions, noticing the subtle flick of his tail or the tilt of his head that spoke louder than words. Ethan decided it was time to introduce Storm to the open field. With a saddle strapped on and a soft lead rope in hand, he guided Storm out of the paddock. The wide expanse of their family ranch stretched before them, and Ethan felt a surge of pride as Storm stood tall, his muscles rippling under his sleek coat. "All right, let's see what you've got," Ethan murmured, giving Storm a gentle pat. He clicked his tongue and the stallion began to trot. At first, Storm moved cautiously, but as the cool morning breeze swept through the grass, something awakened in him. He broke into a canter, his powerful legs kicking up dirt as he raced across the field. Ethan stood in awe, watching Storm's raw strength and beauty. It wasn't all smooth sailing, though. One afternoon, while practicing groundwork, Storm suddenly reared back, his nostrils flaring and his eyes wide with fear. Ethan's heart raced as he held onto the lead rope, trying to calm the horse. "Easy, boy, easy," he whispered, stepping closer. But Storm's fear was palpable, and it took Ethan nearly an hour to settle him down. Later that evening, Ethan sat by the paddock, replaying the incident in his mind. "What spooked you, Storm?" he wondered aloud. It wasn't until he remembered something his father used to say. A horse doesn't just fear what's in front of them, they fear what's inside them too. That Ethan began to understand. Storm's past, whatever it was, still haunted him. Ethan decided to change his approach. He spent more time just being with Storm, sitting silently by his side or brushing him with slow, deliberate strokes. He also began using his father's old training techniques, which emphasized trust and mutual respect over dominance. One evening, as the sky turned shades of orange and pink, Ethan decided to try riding Storm for the first time. He approached the horse with the saddle in hand, speaking in a calm, reassuring tone. "This is it, buddy. We're going to take this one step at a time," he said. To his amazement, Storm stood still as Ethan mounted him. The boy felt a mix of exhilaration and nervousness as he settled into the saddle. "Let's take it slow," he murmured, nudging Storm gently. The horse responded with a steady walk, and soon they were moving in harmony, boy and horse becoming one. But as they returned to the barn, something unexpected happened. Ethan noticed a shadowy figure standing by the fence. It was Mr. Davis, the neighbor who had helped him nurse Storm back to health. The older man tipped his hat, a rare smile on his weathered face. "You've done something special, Ethan," he said. "That horse, he's not just healed, he's alive again. And so are you." Ethan felt a lump in his throat as he dismounted, leading Storm back to the paddock. "Thanks, Mr. Davis," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. As he watched Storm settle into the paddock, Ethan realized that their journey was far from over. Storm's transformation wasn't just about strength or speed. It was about trust, resilience, and the unbreakable bond they had formed. But just as things seemed to be falling into place, a twist was about to change everything. Just as Ethan and Storm seemed to be thriving, life threw an unexpected curveball. One bright Saturday morning, a group of strangers arrived at the ranch in a shiny black truck. They wore polished boots and wide-brimmed hats, and their leader, a tall man with a commanding presence, introduced himself as Mr. Lawson, a representative from a prestigious regional horse competition. "We've heard about your horse," Mr. Lawson said, eyeing Storm as he grazed peacefully in the paddock. "He's a marvel, truly, and we're here to offer you a chance to showcase him at the county's annual equestrian fair." Ethan's eyes widened in disbelief. The county fair was no small event. It was where the best of the best competed. But before Ethan could respond, his mother stepped forward. "We appreciate the offer, but Storm isn't a show horse," she said firmly. "He's part of this family now." Mr. Lawson smiled, though his tone turned sharper. "That's a shame," he said. "A horse like that deserves recognition. But if you change your mind, you know where to find us." With that, the group left, leaving an air of unease behind them. Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Over the next few days, he noticed strange tire tracks near the ranch, and Storm seemed restless, often pacing the paddock at night. Then one evening, disaster struck. Ethan was jolted awake by the sound of frantic whinnies and the smell of smoke. He rushed outside to find the paddock ablaze, flames licking the wooden posts and thick black smoke filling the air. Storm was trapped inside, rearing and kicking in panic. "Storm!" Ethan shouted, his heart pounding. He didn't hesitate. Grabbing a wet blanket, he sprinted toward the paddock, ignoring his mother's desperate cries to stay back. The heat was unbearable, but Ethan's focus was unshakable. "Easy, boy! I'm here," he yelled, throwing the blanket over Storm's back. The horse, recognizing Ethan's voice, stopped thrashing for just a moment. It was enough for Ethan to unbolt the gate and lead Storm to safety. By the time the fire was extinguished, the paddock was a smoldering ruin. Ethan collapsed on the ground, coughing and shaking, as Storm nuzzled him gently. It was then that Ethan spotted something glinting in the ashes, a silver lighter. "This wasn't an accident," he muttered, his hands trembling as he picked up the lighter. The next morning, the sheriff arrived to investigate, but the evidence was scarce. Ethan's suspicions immediately turned to Mr. Lawson and his group, but without proof, there was little the authorities could do. Determined to protect Storm, Ethan began devising a plan. He rebuilt the paddock with reinforced materials, installed motion sensor lights, and even set up a camera to monitor the area. But as much as he tried to reassure himself, the fear lingered. Despite the setback, Ethan knew he couldn't let fear dictate their lives. He continued working with Storm, their bond stronger than ever after the fire. And as the weeks passed, something incredible began to happen. Storm, once hesitant and wary, started to exhibit behaviors Ethan had only seen in the most well-trained horses. He responded to subtle cues, performed intricate maneuvers, and displayed an uncanny intelligence that left even Ethan's mother in awe. One evening, as Ethan practiced with Storm in the newly rebuilt paddock, Mr. Davis stopped by again. "That horse isn't just special," he said, leaning against the fence. "He's extraordinary. And so are you, Ethan. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." Ethan nodded, a newfound determination shining in his eyes. He realized that Storm's transformation wasn't just about proving something to the world. It was about proving something to himself. But little did Ethan know, the fire was just the beginning. The true test of their bond and resilience was yet to come. Months passed and life at the ranch began to return to normal. Storm thrived under Ethan's care, becoming the picture of health and strength. The pair continued training, their bond now unbreakable. Ethan's reputation as a horse whisperer spread beyond the town, drawing visitors eager to witness the boy and his extraordinary stallion. One afternoon, while practicing in the paddock, a familiar black truck pulled up to the ranch. Mr. Lawson stepped out, flanked by two associates. This time, his demeanor was less polished and more urgent. "We have a proposition," Lawson began, his tone attempting to mask desperation. "The regional horse competition is in 2 weeks. Storm could be the star of the show. We'll sponsor you, cover all the expenses. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity." Ethan's mother stepped forward, wary but willing to hear him out. "And what's in it for you?" she asked, crossing her arms. Lawson hesitated but then admitted, "Our organization's reputation has been tarnished recently. A win with Storm would help restore it." Ethan looked at Storm, who stood tall and proud. He knew Lawson's interest wasn't genuine, but he also saw a chance to prove what Storm was capable of, not for Lawson, but for everyone who doubted them. "We'll do it," Ethan said firmly, surprising everyone, including his mother. The next 2 weeks were grueling. Ethan and Storm trained tirelessly, perfecting every maneuver. On the day of the competition, the stadium buzzed with excitement. Riders and their horses performed dazzling displays of skill, but when Ethan and Storm entered the arena, the crowd fell silent. The announcer's voice boomed over the speakers, and now a local boy and his once-forgotten horse, ready to show us the meaning of perseverance. Ethan took a deep breath, gave Storm a reassuring pat, and whispered, "Let's show them who we are." Storm moved like poetry in motion. Each step, each leap, was flawless. The crowd erupted into cheers as the duo performed their final move, a daring synchronized jump over a towering obstacle. When they landed, the applause was deafening. As the judges tallied the scores, Lawson approached Ethan, his earlier arrogance replaced by humility. "You've got something special, kid," he admitted. "I was wrong to doubt you." The results were announced. Ethan and Storm had won not just their category, but the hearts of everyone in attendance. The trophy they received was grand, but it wasn't what mattered most to Ethan. That evening, back at the ranch, Ethan reflected on the journey. Storm wasn't just a horse to him. He was a symbol of resilience, trust, and the belief that even the most overlooked can achieve greatness. The story didn't end there. News of Ethan and Storm's victory spread, inspiring countless others to take chances on the seemingly impossible. Visitors flocked to the ranch, eager to meet the boy and his extraordinary horse. Ethan started sharing his experiences, teaching others about the power of patience and compassion. Years later, as Ethan stood by the paddock, watching Storm graze in the sunset, he smiled. Their bond had changed not only their lives, but also the lives of many others. And in that golden moment, Ethan knew his father would have been proud. Ethan and Storm's story is not just a journey of love and perseverance, but also a testament to the power of belief and friendship. In a world full of challenges and doubts, they overcame every obstacle, changing not only their own destiny, but also inspiring thousands of others. They proved that sometimes what we need isn't perfection or approval from others, but faith in ourselves and those around us. Thank you for following this amazing story. If you were moved and want to watch more inspiring tales like this one, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Be sure to hit the like button and share this video so everyone can experience the miracles in life. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time to do so, as we'll be bringing even more incredible stories your way. Join us and explore these heartwarming journeys together. Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you in our next video.